But this is Fraggy. He gets the Ana ultimate, knocks down 3 with this Earth Shatter, takes down the rest of the team. 3 kills for Fraggy so far, just throwing through. That is ugly.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of On The Point, brought to you by Steve Kaffmeyer and Jay Howard. In this episode, we're going to be looking at one of the maps from the Misfits vs NiP matchup, Hollywood specifically, from the Lenovo Cup.
So looking at these compositions, it looks like Ninjas are running out a 3-2-1 comp, with the 1 being a single DPS, Zappis playing his Hanzo, which they seem to favor on a lot of first point attacks, and then Misfits playing the triple tank, triple support. I don't think I've ever really seen Misfits play this composition before. I definitely haven't seen much of Soon on Roadhog or Nevix on Ana.
Yeah, it's pretty uncommon to see Soon on a tank. And jumping into the match, the first thing we see is basically the team kind of bashes main. The enemy team's holding quite close, and Soon makes the first mistake. The first move is from Soon, and it's a horrible mistake, because not only does he give up his life, but he also gives them the first entry kill. Soon overextended behind the Reinhardt, or past the Reinhardt shield, right? He could have stayed behind the Reinhardt shield, been protected, right? I think maybe he wasn't expecting NiP to be running a Roadhog on offense, or
no, he would.
I don't know, man. Like, why would he overextend otherwise?
They always play him Roadhog. I mean, he just tries to get he's prioritizing the kill on Zappis, tries to get him hooked over the car, and he misses.
Maybe he's not thinking clearly, man. Maybe he's not thinking clearly.
Maybe he just doesn't play a whole lot of Roadhog.
Perhaps,
doesn't realize that he's actually overextending when he is.
Yeah, because that giving up that kill essentially lost them that first point, I reckon, right?
Yeah. Oh no,
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Exactly. And it could have been avoided by just staying behind the Reinhardt.
Easily, yeah.
That's what's annoying with that one. And it allows them to kind of just snowball into this fight. They still have man advantage with his Earth Shatter, right? It's a 6v4, and they kill all 4 of them. Or 6v5 even, I think, right?
Well, I think Fraggy gets a nano boost, and then he can just run right past Rib and ult everyone. That's exactly what happens, because they have ult advantage.
Yeah. So from the spawn door, all the way up until the jail here, it's a completely one-sided fight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All because of 1 kill on Soon, really.
All because of 1 kill. All because of 1 overextension. All because he didn't use the cover. Now, I think this is the biggest point, right? This fight here is the biggest one that needs to be explained, I reckon, right?
Absolutely. It's the highest leverage based on position and spawn distances.
Yeah.
And they use the slower charging high value ults with Graviton and Sound Barrier on offense.
Exactly. Because NiP are able to just snowball through the start of the map, Zappis stays on Hanzo with the Dragon Strike, right?
Because he knows Mafu's going to get charged, and he can actually get value out of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Winning this team fight.
They bait out and kill him through Zebosai's ultimate even.
They kill him through Zebosai's ultimate. So, coming into this, right? They won the team fight. It's 3v... well, none, right? So they wiped the whole team. Mafu, Kinnel, and Himsy still alive, right? Zupe died at the start of the fight. Zappis and Fraggy died not long ago, right? So it's 3v nothing. Misfits, of course, spawning close to the payload here. Kinnel speed boosts Himsy and Mafu back to regroup. So they completely give up the payload.
Just to make sure they don't lose a 3v4 or 3v5 right there.
Exactly. So if Misfits can spawn, they can get to the payload before the rest of the NiP team's there, so it's a 6v3. So to avoid the risk of losing those 3 players, further delaying the team, because at the moment they're kind of waiting for 3 people to get back.
Yeah,
if the 3
delaying the team, and that would give the defense a whole lot of ult charge, killing those 3. It should give them the ult advantage for the ensuing fights.
Exactly. Plus like 20 seconds on the timer, right? Because they have to wait for Mafu, Himsy, and Kinnel to respawn. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So coming back into this fight, we see Misfits regain complete control complete control of the payload, right? NiP give up complete control. Now, I reckon there's some kind of confusion here on the Misfits side. Because Crew, with Graviton Surge, full HP, both shields up, jumps down,
right into Reinhardt.
He just jumps down and gets eliminated. Like, massive mistake there, right?
Just, yeah, no explanation.
No explanation.
No reason to do that.
And NiP make another mistake, right? So Misfits, obviously Crew made a huge mistake. Now NiP didn't capitalize on that, right?
Yeah, they didn't really speed boost in and follow up effectively.
Exactly. I think if Kinnell had speed boosted the whole team into the Misfits team to kind of completely engage the fight, they would have got the payload to the checkpoint much quicker. But instead, Rib is able to kill Zupe. Rib gets killed before he's able to use his ult. Now, this is
Hadan's ult gets forced out if he wants to survive, basically. Zappis starts shooting him, so he decides he'd rather stay alive.
Now, looking at this right here on the stream, you'd be thinking, now that's a fail ult, right? But it's actually really important. This ult here, whether it's a fail or whether it was a call, it could have been a call actually because of how the timing works out. It actually does work out. But he's able to keep presence on the payload. He keeps the Lucio
and Zebo alive.
Exactly, he keeps Zebo and Soon alive. So he keeps 3 people on the payload, right? Now this is really important. He keeps presence on the payload for Crew to come back and Graviton Surge and get 4 people in the ult.
Yeah, and it looks like Nevix is there along with Crew to clean up half the Graviton.
Such a chaotic fight with like a couple mistakes, but it worked out so beautifully for Misfits just because of Hidan's ult.
Yeah, so it did end up working very well.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like
the moment he used it, it felt like it was worthless, but because Crew was able to reinforce with his ult, it really gave them the amount of time they needed to stabilize.
Yeah. And they kind of trade out kills with that Graviton Surge. But of course, because Misfits is spawning closer, they can get back, they can reinforce the payload faster than NiP, especially with Soon dropping a pulse bomb onto Kinnell, completely eliminating him.
It's a great way to start the fight for the defense.
I'm actually going to go ahead and speed this bit up here, just because there isn't really anything happening. There's a few kills happening there from Zappis, and the defense is kind of just getting back and delaying. But if we skip to about here, this is a pretty important part here with Nevix. So Nevix gets his Genji ult, right? Kinnell uses his ult, right? His Lucio ult. Lucio ult goes down. Nevix has his ult. Zebasai is just about to get his. Genji uses his ult. Zebasai gets his ult, right?
Starts casting
with Nevix in Dragon Blade, so it could have been strong, right? And then
Zebasai saved him.
Zebasai.
Yeah, Zebasai dies mid-cast to a huge pulse bomb by Zappis.
Yeah, he just gets completely deleted by the pulse bomb. That was a really key tracer bomb there from Zappis, I think. I think if he'd have missed that, Misfits would have held this for quite a bit longer. Especially with Rib.
Dragon Blade's still up. Yeah.
Exactly. With Rib with his ult, with Zebasai with his ult, right? That's 20 seconds at least, I feel.
Yeah, and you might even be able to reinforce in time and actually even win a fight if you could kill Zupe somehow with the Dragon Blade.
Fast forwarding through the final stage here of Hollywood, Himsy goes pretty huge, gets 3 kills, not really too much to analyse though. One thing is that Misfits initiate the initial fight on stage 3 with a man disadvantage because Hidan was still respawning. Bit of a misplay there. Also, Rib dies for the 3rd time while holding Winston ult. He has a pretty poor map, but aside from that, there's not too much else to analyse.
What? This is their first attack?
Yeah, this is their first attack.
This is their double flanker lineup with Rib on Winston. And then this is NiP's patented quad tank with Anna and Lucio as support.
The NiP lineup, as some people call it.
a really interesting lineup here. Not a whole lot of damage, plenty of sustain with Anna in particular. Basically, the whole comp's job is just to keep Zupe alive with relying heavily on Himsy's hook to generate picks and just using the natural health pool of all the tanks to win long engagements.
Yeah, and it's Anna's ult that really is the one that turns the tide of the fights, I feel. If she's ulting Reinhardt or Himsy, Roadhog, then that's what turns the character into a DPS character, I think, right? It kind of goes from tank to tank DPS. I mean, if you can get Himsy ulted, you know, you can do so much work.
It's only really useful on Roadhog when you're using whole hog. Otherwise, you almost want to use it exclusively on Reinhardt. I guess sometimes it's useful on the Winston as well. We've started to see that a little bit more, but
yeah, I mean, if Winston's in the backline, it's so hard to kill, and he actually does quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, and I think the plus 30% move speed really helps him close the gap to make sure he can actually use the damage boost.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, let's play this one then.
Yeah, and I think the critical thing is that based on these compositions, Zupe is going to get his ult faster than everyone else if there's a big, long poke war exchange. Of course, with these comps with Rib jumping in, that won't happen, but if NiP win the first fight, they'll have the Ana ult for the second, and they'll use it to boost Fraggy, who will get his ult mid-fight.
Yeah, so Soon's just given so much room in the backline here. His main focus every single time is to kill Ana. Once Ana goes down, this lineup just gets creamed.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue with this fight for NiP, and the reason they lose, is that Mafu had used his projectile shield and didn't save it for Ana. And so Ana gets discorded, and once she's discorded, it's just really easy to kill her as a tracer. And so she goes down first, they have no healing left, and at that point, you know, they get crushed.
Yeah, the main thing with this lineup is to keep the Ana alive. Not only is it a lot of healing, but it's that ultimate that's super important. It's what turns the tide of the fights, as we said.
Yeah, and NiP, the targets they choose to focus were the tanks, so with Misfits still having their damage up, they were able to win the point pretty easily.
Yeah, and we kind of see, once again, Snowball coming through, taking the first point pretty quickly because of essentially one pick, right? Once the Ana goes down, it was the same last half with the Roadhog going down, or last round rather. And it was kind of snowball through.
It's really impressive here that NiP does win this fight. Nevix really gets zoned really well with his Dragon Blade. Usually with the Dragon Blade, without a Transcendence there, it's pretty easy to get 2-3 kills even sometimes. But because he's fighting into so many tanks, he's really zoned out with his Dragon Blade, and Himsy hooked Soon out, so Soon wasn't able to get any value killing the Ana.
Just like the last half, the midsection of the map is essentially just a snowball through. Soon gets a quick triple kill, and once again we get to the jail, where the best fights happen on this map.
And at this point, both teams are pretty evenly charged. Yeah, I think the biggest thing in this fight is Nevix draws his Dragon Blade, but gets focused down immediately. I think he gets one shot by Himsy, or Zupe must land a grenade on him, because Hidan's transcending when this happens, so he really should be able to keep Nevix alive, but he isn't. Yeah.
Just got insta-destroyed, insta-shut down as soon as the ult came out.
So just clutch play by Himsy there. Looks like Soon's able to get something back, but Mafu really comes through big in this fight, just gets charged up.
They get full control. And it's, apart from when they fought at the gate, it's the first time they've had actual control, I think. I don't even think the fights at the gate was real, like, actual control. They're still kind of staggered and still scattered about, still trying to regroup. But here, this is the first, like, full 6v6, aside from the very start of the map.
Yeah, and now they're a little behind on ults, but they could definitely work with this, with the Dragon Blade. I think that's an interesting ult. Crew uses it on just 2, but he gets both supports. Kinnel uses Sound Barrier in response, but Zupe gets burst down through it. You can really tell how Misfits are prioritizing trying to kill the Ana, and it's working somewhat. But
I mean, if we had a POV of Soon, you'd see him just like constantly looking at the Ana, constantly going for the Ana, hunting, I'm pretty sure Zupe would have been pretty angry with this game. With how Soon's always focusing in. Fast forwarding through the end of this midsection of the map, there wasn't really too much to analyse, both teams kind of jumping back, respawning, and Misfits essentially was beating them on frags. NiP couldn't really get back in time, so Misfits eventually closed out. Yeah, I think it's a bit delayed. Nothing really to say there. We're just
pretty small thing, they're already so charged.
Yeah, yeah.
It would have given them an extra 10 feet, but usually you don't fight up here anyway, and on defense it's a little too far forward.
And this was just an absolute cluster of ults. It was what, Graviton into Tracer Bomb, and NiP responded with
both support ults.
Both support ults, yeah. Similar to last half, the third stage of the map was pretty one-sided in favour of the attacking team. Misfits winning a couple team fights soon, once again focusing the supports. Tanks couldn't stay alive and they managed to close it out.
Alright. For those of you who don't play much competitive, how the time bank system works in situations like this is when one team captures the last point but has less than a minute on their clock is increased to a minute, and the other team's is increased by the same amount.
Yep, which means NiP are left with 1 minute to attack, and Misfits on the other hand have 2 minutes 12. Wait, what's NiP playing? 1, 2, 3? Easy's ABC?
Yeah.
Right, they're running the ABC lineup, and Misfits is running the King of the Hill lineup.
Well, this time Misfits is on defense, but they're playing an offensive-oriented lineup, which is interesting. I would definitely argue this is their most effective lineup. Basically, everyone's on comfort heroes, and so they've practiced this before, and that's why they're probably doing it on defense. I think the 3-2-1 tank lineup that NiP's using is pretty good into this, but given ninjas won't really have enough time to charge ults before the first fight, the difference between these two lineups is pretty low as far as who we would expect to win.
Yeah, so really excellent play from Misfits actually here, predicting the Roadhog Hanzo lineup from NiP. They position themselves in apartment stairs, behind the box on site, and over by the overlook stairs, right? So they're not actually peeking at all, therefore Roadhog and Hanzo, they have no way of killing, right? It's the difference between playing like a Genji Tracer, like Misfits did, where Genji and Tracer can always find targets, you know, because they can move into them. Whereas Roadhog and Hanzo can't move into them. They have to be given opportunities, if you know what I mean, right?
Well, if they're all out of line of sight, it's hard to find them. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, Misfits, with the King of the Hill lineup, they kind of stay in cover, let NiP push in, and then they initiate the fight, which is exactly how you want to play the King of the Hill lineup.
Yeah, and then you just focus whichever high value target you want. Either in this case, the best targets are either Hanzo or Ana, and they get them both quickly enough.
But it depends if you're Soon or not. If you're Soon, there's only one target on the map, you know, and that's Ana. And you can see in the kill feed, he's already killed Ana.
I think he chipped in on the Hanzo, but yeah.
Probably, yeah. And they just get essentially completely wiped. Because
they barely have enough time to get back out of the point, given this situation. And now Misfits are almost charged up, which gives them a really huge advantage in this fight.
And what's more is Zupe has been unable to charge his ult. Look, he's died once again. Look at this.
Yeah,
Overtime's...
they do no poke.
Exactly. Overtime's over, right? And Ana, who's the character that charges ult the fastest in the game, right? I think it's the fastest, isn't it?
Well,
one of them,
sometimes.
Right?
I've checked the. I think Junkrat and Hanzo might do it faster on average, but
right.
In a lot of fights, it's Ana.
Let's just say like it's one of the fastest charging, right? And Ana is only at 57% after the overtime's over. So Soon has done an excellent job of zoning out the Ana to completely win this fight. Or the two fights even. I think if Zupe had the ult coming into this fight, it would have been much less one-sided.
Yeah. Well, Nevix probably would have been able to kill the supports because he got Dragon Blade fast enough, but...
They just get wiped.
Yeah, they just get crushed. Well, like it's just they don't have enough time. Their movement pattern's going to be so obvious. Given only 10 seconds left, they have to just all jump on the point. That's going to make it super easy for Misfits to clean them up.
And Misfits with the same lineup once again on offense this time. NiP opting for the
Quad tank.
4-2. The George Foreman.
George Foreman.
That's what this lineup's called. Right, so this is a really weird setup, I think, here from Misfits. So they send Rib down long, and they send Soon up into apartments. Pretty risky from Rib, I'd say, right? Because if NiP are playing quite defensively, then Himsy could probably have a free kill. But fortunately, NiP are playing quite aggressively, actually. Probably too aggressively, I'd say, right?
Yeah, they're a little too far forward. I'd like to see them hold on the corner of the point.
Yeah.
And that way, if the other team does decide to go long, you can just move sides.
Yeah. Just like the previous overtime, Misfits gets in position and then initiates. They jump in. Soon, with the Tracer, really focuses Ana down. They're just allowed to collapse, coming from different directions, and NiP are kind of caught out of position.
Yeah, I feel like NiP's positioning in this fight really lets them down. They get pushed into this little corner and they kind of stay there. And then they use their Winston shield a little too early when it's only Tracer going in. And so when Rib comes in with his shield, his team is pretty protected. And it looked like Himsy got Nevix with a hook, but they were able to finish off Zupe there and win because they killed the Ana.
Yeah, and
that.
Ryan and Road, like, they had no way to go other than out of the fight. And going around the back there, you can't get back into the fight in time. And Misfits kind of just rolled over them with the King of the Hill lineup.
Yeah, I think Hadan got a couple of key finishing blows there. And it just looked like their supports were a little free reign compared to Ninjas.
Well, guys, that concludes our second episode here of On The Point with Steve Kaffmeyer and myself, Jay Howard. We put in so much effort into the second video, far more than the first one. Really went through you guys' feedback. Of course, if you have any more feedback, please do feel free to leave it in the comments. Follow us on Twitter, get subscribed, and thank you for watching, guys.